Okay, so just presenting assignment 1B. My craft being origami and minimalist art. So basically, I'll just go through the whole assignment and what I did to get to the end result. So after a bit of site analysis, identifying the sun orientation in relation to the site, possible positioning of the building, existing conditions such as terrain, access handle, topography, and a bit of history to do with the site. After I determined that, I then started putting together some bubble diagrams to create a link or relationship between these spaces and the design brief that was given to us. And then I looked at some precedent work by my chosen architect, which is Matthias, and obviously to inspire my design for this project. So the four things that I've looked at or identified from the architect's philosophy were the use of white plain architecture, simple geometric forms to form the mass of the architecture, the usage of voids and cutouts to introduce natural light and open spaces, and obviously a lot of natural light to create a sort of a bright, joyous environment. So the real architecture, as I've said in my 1 weeks of presentation, it's the notion of allowing the environment to become the focal point and not the building. The simple geometric forms is just the style of the architect. So these examples just show, sort of highlighted at the top, piece of architecture is made up of a simple triangle and a rectangle. So instead of the roof element and the walls being separate components, they've been unified. And obviously the creation of voids, here's a few examples to introduce entry into the building. The top left hand corner is to introduce balconies, and again it's not just on the faces of the building, it's also sort of an underground which sort of inspires the whole design approach to having sort of open areas on the roof of the finished or the final design. And again, just the introduction of natural light to the internal spaces. So once I did that, I started to take the bubble diagram and start to play around with how the circulation space will be in accordance to these areas. So this example is one of the first sort of designs that I did, just showing these various spaces and how they link to each other. This was the second example. I wasn't quite satisfied with the first design that I did, where the circulation space was sort of at the back of the spaces, which sort of did not, for me, it didn't work because that blocked the views to the circulation space. And not only that, actually the design was a bit boring. In the second example, I tried to include the circulation space in and around the buildings, so like a viewing corridor and separate these spaces. And obviously after some comments during the collaboration sessions for the first design and the second design, I went back to the drawing board and started to look at the relationship between the spaces closer, and sort of went back to the drawing board and started to look at these spaces in more depth. After doing that, I then developed the final design, which is a combination of the first and second design. So this site plan shows the existing access handle to the side, which in my design also consists of the parking space, and then it's simply 2 ramps to go down to the underground part of the building with a central sort of footpath leading to the entry, reception and gallery area, which is the only exposed structure above ground. So that's the only visible structure that anyone will see coming down the access handle. This is the underground floor plan, so it's below ground level, and basically which houses most of the areas. And again, here you can see these ramps link the circulation space, which in this example is through the middle of this design. So the areas that do not require natural light were positioned at the rear. So you've got your storage areas, lunchroom, kitchen, your lecture hall and bathrooms have been positioned at the back of the building, and then obviously then the workshop, which being a central space that sort of floods over to an open space, open space, and we've got the computer labs and the resource library near the side of the workshop with sliding partitions to allow students freedom of working in between these 3 spaces. And also you've got the classrooms on one side, teachers' offices being here in the director's office. All of these spaces will have sort of a panoramic view around the site. This being the ground level, so this is the entry, reception and gallery area, which again on the inside has 2 ramps that take you down to this main circulation area, and also consists of a lift for the disabled, which will take you down to this level from this entry and reception area. These are the elevations. So in this particular elevation you can see the access handle, the car, and you can see the rooftop of this building sort of in line with immediately the same level as the access handle. Consists of skylights that penetrate through to the circulation space below to introduce natural light, and again rooftop garden, the same in this example. So it's basically the idea of pulling back what we take on the escalator for the below ground level, so it's borrowing from the side and not taking from the side. This example is the back of the building, so the below ground level is actually being cut in this particular view, and this shows the sort of the approach to the entry gallery space from that walkway, from the access handle, leading from the access handle. And this particular elevation is the elevation you would see if you sort of standing from the river. So as what you would see against the terrain, sort of this building has been cut into the terrain, this side has been retained. As you can see, these places, director's office, teachers' offices, the resource library, an open section from the workshop, and the classrooms, etc. All having the required views. And this section sort of portrays how the building is coming to the site. So this being the laneway, obviously the building is coming into the topography of the site, where the levels are here. So in this particular example shows the ramp that also acts as a temporary sort of loading zone area where the truck can reverse and offload any packages and stuff like that, which is stock supplies. This particular 3D view shows the footpath leading onto the entry gallery space. Again, it's well planted, rooftop gardens. This view shows the views out to the water. And this particular one conveys the entry and gallery space of the building, which is constructed in a simple curved rectangular form. These are the skylights that penetrate down to the circulation space to produce natural light, and these are located either side of the gallery space. Again, the ramp on the other side, the circulation space through the middle of the building, the workshop area views from the workshop area. This is the outdoor space that acts as an extended workshop area. This is the main facade of the building, out to the water, the building from the car park space. And this is the physical model, which highlights the circulation space. So my intention with this physical model is to look at the scale, the geometry and the circulation space, the main circulation space for the building. So this picture shows various spaces. This is the top view. The smaller build structure